All right, what is up, y'all? So I'm excited to bring to you today meal plan number 8, and this is our beef and yams, which is one of our favorite recipes. It's tried and true. By the way, it's the same recipe we use for the SHT meals, beef and yams, and oven-baked drumsticks. Now, remember what we're trying to do with these meal plans. We're trying to make things as easy and simple as possible so we can make this work for a lifetime. Most of us probably don't eat breakfast, or if we do, it's something very simple and easy. We'll cover what the main options are that most of us kind of gravitate towards. A lot of us just do some coffee and cream in the morning, maybe some bone stock. I think that's a great option. Some of us make our breakfast and take it with us. All right, so feel free to customize this meal plan to something that kind of resonates with you and where you're at in your journey. But to keep things really simple, we've got suggested breakfast, we've got the same lunch every single day. And because most of us do the leftovers method, which is every time we cook, we have enough for 2 evenings worth of meals, we're only providing a couple of meal idea recipes, all right? And that gives us a lot of flexibility over the weekend. And so let's just go ahead and look and see what we got here for the meal plan. All right, so here's our meal plan, and I just want to point out something that we're including now, and that is some suggested snacks. Something that's come up a lot lately is being unprepared in situations that lend themselves to temptation because you're kind of hungry, you get a little hangry, a little low blood sugar, and there's not many options around, and so you end up reaching for something inappropriate. So I think always having some appropriate snacks would be extremely helpful. And keep in mind, if you're keeping some of these things that are non-perishable with you, then you don't have to worry about them going bad. At some point, you're going to end up using them anyway. All right, so we got some suggestions here. I'm just going to go through a few of them. Our freeze-dried meals were made exactly for this. So if you haven't seen those yet, if you go to the URL, it's hyperlinked here. It'll also be in our post. You can check out the different flavors that are available. Sometimes we run out and then we restock them. But these things are awesome. They got a 25-year shelf life. They are designed exactly to be kept everywhere. I've got them at the office. I got them in my Jeep. I got them in my backpack, in our bug out bag. We got them at home. We've turned to them so many times. And what's great about them is you can add a little bit of hot water and reconstitute them, or you can just eat them dry. So SHT meals are great. The Epic meat bars are one of my favorite. I keep those around everywhere. Some other options here, like your Chomps meat sticks. Those are like a holistic ancestral version of some Slim Jims. We've also got like pork rinds, Parmesan crisp discs, and then moon cheese is one of my favorite snacks. Okay, you can also make something that's non-perishable, like having some roll-ups available, at half an avocado, some hard-boiled eggs. You know, you can do some of this on your meal prep on the weekends, but you do need to make sure that you eat them because they'll go bad over time. All right, so being prepared with the snacks, especially the non-perishable stuff, I think is going to be really, really smart. Now, as always, our optional breakfast for most people is either going to be one of our approved shakes, and our simplistic recipe is always going to be a couple of scoops of some really clean whey isolate, and we sell a couple through Biotics, but you can get your own as long as the ingredients check out, with 1 scoop of collagen and then some kind of a healthful fat like some heavy cream or some coconut milk, and you can always throw in some optional berries there if you need a little bit of carbohydrates. That's totally fine. A lot of us now are doing some bone stock in the morning, so you can do some bone stock with some collagen, a little bit of tallow. I like to add some bone marrow to it, and then some of us just do coffee and cream. Okay, so for lunch, we're going to recommend our brutally simple deviled eggs. So let's look at that real quick. This is such a simple recipe. I remember when I started it and I did it, I was like, it can't be this simple. And it really is this simple. Instead of taking all the egg yolks out and doing the mixing with the mustard, the mayo, and the relish and all those things, which is totally fine, this is just a really easy, fast way to do it. Right, you're just going to cook the hard-boiled eggs in an Instant Pot. I mean, you can cook them any way that you want, but we have a recipe here for the Instant Pot. And when you take them out, you're just going to cut them in half, and you're literally just going to spoon a little bit of mayo on each one, squirt some mustard, salt, pepper, a little bit of hot sauce if you want it, maybe a little sprinkle of paprika to make it look really good. All right, so that's our recommended lunch for the week. Super simple. You're going to be blown away at how easy it is, and they taste just like deviled eggs. Okay. So our first meal, the Monday, Tuesday meal, or depending on when your week starts, our meal number 1 is going to be our brutally simple beef and yams. So let's go down and look at that real quick. This is one of our tried and true recipes. Our Torino no joke beef stew is kind of based off of this. And basically you're starting with 3 pounds of ground beef. You got a couple of yams, some carrots. You're using some onion and garlic for flavor. The seasonings in here, I'm telling you, to spice up, ground beef and sweet potatoes is probably one of all of our staples, but those that can get kind of boring and mundane and plain, right? So to make this a little bit more savory, but also to keep it simple, I think a really good seasoning combination is having some fish sauce combined with some tamari sauce, and then we throw in just a little bit of tomato paste. So check out the recipe here. If you throw in the Instant Pot, it's done within 30 minutes, and it is absolutely amazing. Nutrient dense. You got a little bit of carbs from the starch. You guys are going to love this. So also with meal number one, we've got sauteed Brussels sprouts. We've shared some Brussels sprout recipes in the past. This is something you're going to do in a skillet. And again, very simple. I mean, the seasonings here are basically just salt and pepper and some garlic powder. But what you're going to do is cook these in a skillet. And what you want to make sure that when you cut these Brussels sprouts in half, you put them in face down, and you do the majority of the cooking face down until they get caramelized. And then you can do a little bit more cooking after you shake them up and stir them a little bit so they get nice and soft. And these things are freaking amazing. You can add some own personal seasonings if you want to, but there's no need to because that makes them taste absolutely great. Our preferred dessert most nights is going to be Frubar. This is one of those things that you can make on a Sunday and keep it for the rest of the week. You're basically getting a package of every single organic berry that you can find, throwing it in the mixing bowl, squeezing a whole lemon, a whole lime, and then whatever kind of sweetener you want. Now, I recommend and prefer honey because honey is like a superfood. I almost don't even consider it in the category of sweet. You could also use some maple syrup if you wanted to. But you're going to stir all that up, put it into a mason jar, and now you've got dessert that you can pull from throughout the week. Okay. Now, if we look at meal number two, this is our oven-baked drumsticks. Love drumsticks. And if we come down to the recipe, I do not think it can get any more simple than this. You're basically melting a good traditional fat. You're taking a mixing bowl and putting a bunch of drumsticks in the mixing bowl and tossing that traditional fat with it. And then you're laying those drumsticks out so they have a little space between each other into a glass baking sheet or baking dish. And then you're adding your seasonings of choice, salt and pepper and garlic powder and, some dried rosemary is really good on these things. And then you're baking it for 30 minutes on each side. After 30 minutes, you're going to flip them over, do a little bit more seasoning, bake them for another 30 minutes and make sure they look nice and good and crispy. You can also use the temperature gauge, make sure they're at 160 degrees internal temperature. So those are super, super simple. And again, we're pairing these with the sauteed Brussels sprouts. And for a starch, since we're already using sweet potatoes for the other recipes, then we recommend using a baked sweet potato for your starch here. So we have a recipe in here for some brutally simple oven baked sweet potatoes. Couldn't get more simple than that. And it's still amazing. Okay. So as always, Fridays are going to be our leftover smorgasbord, which means for most of us, we've got all kinds of things that we didn't eat from the week that we can use for our Friday evening meal. It could also be like an order out night, an approved pizza night or something like that. Saturdays and Sundays can be our flex days, our prep days. You can gravitate towards something that is one of your staples and your favorites. And then our Oregon challenge, we thought it would be nice to just share some ideas as far as places to buy things that are already made. All right. So obviously, you're not going to get some of these things like in the mail same day, although some things you can with Amazon. But we have some suggestions in here. Epic makes some really good beef and liver little bites. They're like little beef jerkies that are made with liver, and I think they taste amazing. You can get them at Whole Foods, Natural Grocers. I think they have them at Sprouts sometimes. You can order them online. There's also some liver pates and mousses that are pre-made. I know that Whole Foods carries some of these because I get them periodically and they taste really, really good. So that would be something to try. We're putting some links in here for U.S. Wellness Meats. U.S. Wellness Meats has a head cheese and a liverwurst and a Braunschweiger that I used to get all the time. We got some details about what's in those things. They come pre-cooked. You just cut them up and you can eat them cold or you can heat them up in a skillet and they're amazing. And then one of my favorite things that I use on a regular basis is the Force of Nature Ancestral Blends. And this is basically a ground beef blend with 3% heart, 7% liver. That's 10% total organs in this total ground beef package, and you can barely taste the organs in it. It's a great way to get some organs in, okay? All right, so if y'all have any questions, comments, or feedback about these meal plans, I've heard some great things, all right? But if you got some suggestions to make it better, or even if you're using it and you're enjoying it, please let us know, all right? We put some work into this, and we would be happy to make it better or different. We just want to make this something that's worthwhile, something that serves you, okay? So questions, comments, snide remarks, feedback, send it our way, and y'all keep it real.